Warning: Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Section 1. Warning. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Your Holiness, I hope this letter finds you in good health, in good disposition, and enveloped with the spirit of goodness. I must confess that it had never occurred to me before to write you, and I find myself overwhelmed and moved to have this opportunity. Although circumstances have compelled me to reach out to you, I am glad to have this occasion to try and cross the boundaries that would otherwise tend to separate us. I understand that the New Jersey State Police have written to you and asked you to intervene and to help facilitate my extradition back to the United States. I believe that their request is unprecedented in history, since they have refused to make their letter to you public, although they have not hesitated to publicize their request. I am completely uninformed as to the accusations they are making against me. Why, I wonder, do I warrant such attention? What do I represent that is such a threat? Please let me take a moment to tell you about myself. My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-'70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too. I know that your holiness will reach your own conclusion, but I feel compelled to present the circumstances surrounding the application of so-called justice in New Jersey. I am not the first or the last person to be victimized by the New Jersey system of justice. The New Jersey State Police are infamous for their racism and brutality. Many legal actions have been filed against them. And just recently, in a class action legal proceeding, the New Jersey State Police were found guilty of having an, quote, officially sanctioned de facto policy of targeting minorities for investigation and arrest, unquote. Although New Jersey's population is more than 78% white, more than 75% of the prison population is made up of blacks and Latinos. 80% of women in New Jersey prisons are women of color. There are 15 people on death row in the state, and 7 of them are black. A 1987 study found that New Jersey prosecutors sought the death penalty in 50% of cases involving a black defendant and a white victim, but only 28% of cases involving a black defendant and a black victim. Unfortunately, the situation in New Jersey is not unique, but reflects the racism that permeates the entire country. The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. There are more than 1.7 million people in U.S. prisons. This number does not include the more than 500,000 people in city and county jails, nor does it include the alarming number of children in juvenile institutions. The vast majority of those behind bars are people of color. and virtually all of those behind bars are poor. The result of this reality is devastating. 1/3 of black men between the ages of 20 and 29 are either in prison or under the jurisdiction of the criminal justice system. Prisons are big business in the United States, and the building, running, and supplying of prisons has become the fastest growing industry in the country. Factories are moving into the prisons, and prisoners are forced to work for slave wages. This super exploitation of human beings has meant the institutionalization of a new form of slavery. Those who cannot find work on the streets are forced to work in prison. Not only are the prisons used as instruments of economic exploitation, they also serve as instruments of political repression. There are more than 100 political prisoners in the United States. They are African Americans, Puerto Ricans, Chicanos, Native Americans, Asians, and progressive white people who oppose the policies of the United States government. Many of those targeted by the COINTELPRO program have been in prison since the early 1970s. Although the situation in prisons is an indication of human rights violations inside the United States, there are other, more deadly indicators. There are currently 3,365 people now on death row, and more than 50% of those awaiting death are people of color. Black people make up only 13% of the population, but we make up 41.01% of persons who have received the death penalty. The number of state assassinations has increased drastically. In 1997 alone, 71 people were executed. A special rapporteur appointed by the United Nations organization found serious human rights violations in the United States, especially related to the death penalty. According to his findings, people who are mentally ill were sentenced to death, people with severe mental and learning disabilities, as well as minors under 18. Serious racial bias was found on the part of judges and prosecutors. Specifically mentioned in the report was the case of Mumia Abu-Jamal, the only political prisoner on death row, who was sentenced to death because of his political beliefs and because of his work as a journalist exposing police brutality in the city of Philadelphia. I believe that some people spell God with one O, while others spell it with two. What we call God is unimportant as long as we do God's work. There are those who want to see God's wrath fall on the oppressed and not on the oppressors. I believe that the time has ended when slavery, colonialism, and oppression can be carried out in the name of religion. It was in the dungeons of prison that I felt the presence of God up close, and it has been my belief in God and in the goodness of human beings that has helped me to survive. I am not ashamed of having been in prison, and I am certainly not ashamed of having been a political prisoner. I believe that Jesus was a political prisoner who was executed because he fought against the evils of the Roman Empire, because he fought against the greed of the money changers in the temple, because he fought against the sins and injustices of his time. As a true child of God, Jesus spoke up for the poor, for the meek, for the sick, and the oppressed. The early Christians were thrown into lions' dens. I will try to follow the example of so many who have stood up in the face of overwhelming oppression. I am not writing to ask you to intercede on my behalf. I ask nothing for myself. I only ask you to examine the social reality of the United States and to speak out against the human rights violations that are taking place. On this day, the birthday of Martin Luther King, I am reminded of all those who gave their lives for freedom. Most of the people who live on this planet are still not free. I ask only that you continue to work and pray to end oppression and political repression. It is my heartfelt belief that all the people on this earth deserve justice. Social justice, political justice, and economic justice. I believe it is the only way we will ever achieve peace and prosperity on this earth. I hope that you enjoy your visit to Cuba. This is not a country that is rich in material wealth, but it is a country that is rich in human wealth, spiritual wealth, and moral wealth. Respectfully yours, Assata Shakur, Havana, Cuba.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. If you're not subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you haven't done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, it was important to me to make sure that I played that intro clip without interruption. It was very, very important to me that our dear sister, rest in power to her, was able to say everything in her own words undisturbed. Because the disrespect of this woman will not be tolerated whatsoever. Not by no tethers, not by no crooked people in the FBI. That's not what we're going to allow. So I wanted to be very clear when selecting my drop for today. And it was a perfect drop because that was a letter to her addressing the Pope when the United States government tried to basically have the Pope intervene and help orchestrate the removal of Assata from Cuba and send her back to the Americas. Family, some of the most beautiful words ever spoken, in my opinion, has come from Assata. A lot of people have been revolutionized because of our sister Assata. Tupac Shakur comes from a very powerful family. And don't get me wrong, everybody in Tupac's family is very powerful. But I gotta say, Assata was one of the most powerful, had some of the most powerful impacts on almost every revolutionary, every reparationist that I know. So I want to be very clear. When I say rest in power, I'm not saying that our sister is gone whatsoever, because she isn't. That spirit has now, that energy has now been passed along to us. And it's our job to carry the bag forward. It's our job to carry the football to the touchdown. And me knowing that Assata energy is with us always, as she become one of the elders and ancestors to hold us down and watch our backs, that makes me feel so great. When I say that we stand on the shoulders of giants, nobody will ever be able to understand that but foundational Black Americans. You know, the way we held our sister down after she was broken out of prison, after they tried to put these bogus charges on her and sent her through a kangaroo court, it shows how much power she had in the community. It shows how much we stuck together. And some people may say, still do. The way that our sister was taken care of should show anybody when you're doing the right thing, when you're speaking up about the right issues for our community, you don't have to worry about nothing because the community is going to hold you down. And boy, did the community hold our sister down. When President Barack Obama, the tether in chief, put a $2 million hit, basically what it was, on our sister, it did nothing. Why? Because our dear sister had the ancestors riding with her. Not only was the ancestors riding with her, but we was riding with her, stayed riding with her, and refused to turn her in. You know, the difference between us and a lot of other people, especially one of the young, I don't even want to call her a young lady, one of the young white supremacist dragons who's a tether, the difference between us and them, that person just so happened to be a Haitian. And for those who don't know, see, and this is something that I gotta make sure a lot of people understand here. A lot of these Haitians are running around talking about you gotta be grateful to them because the Haitian Revolution was a sparking point for our revolutions, even though that is 100% false. The Haitians came here to help us fight, even though that is wrong as well. The Haitians that came to America were the ones being exiled. And, you know, it wasn't the Black Haitians that was being exiled after they won their revolution, was it? No, it was the white folks from Haiti that was being exiled that came to America. But they love to talk about that. But what they hate to speak about, they always leave out one part. After Dessalines won them their freedom, they chopped them up in the middle of the damn street. They allowed the white supremacist propaganda to convince them that everything that he did for them, giving them and granting them their freedom, was against their interest. And they killed that man in the middle of the street. The difference between us and them is that we uphold and uplift and protect those who fight for our freedom. That has been the story of foundational Black Americans. So yes, it was very important for me to play that first clip undisturbed, because there's a lot of people running around here that need to put some respect on her name. Because if it wasn't for people like her, no bonnet wearing, cricket wig wearing Haitian would be over here in mass numbers in the way that they are today. Or Jamaican, or Dominican, or African, or anything else. It was the actions of our sister Assata that allowed people who are ungrateful and disrespectful into this country. People think it's just the acts of the Nabisco. Others give a lot of glory to the acts of the civil rights movement by either separating and glorifying Dr. King. But if you're not looking at the acts of people such as Assata Shakur and understanding that the actions of the Black Panther Party and many others who didn't believe in that nonviolent stuff, who didn't believe in just taking it on the head, pause, the Civil Rights Act probably would have never been passed. So I want to give a certified B1 salute to our sister Assata Shakur. I want to give a certified B1 salute to everything that she has done and everything that she will continue to do. We stand on the shoulders of greatness, and we must strive every day to match that energy. With that being said, family, let's get into today's broadcast. Let me give a shout out and a B1 salute to everybody in the chat. Our sister Aquarius Minded, much love to you. B1 salute to you. Eli, much love to you. Disrespected by the dirty, crooked FBI, which has zero credibility now due to the Epstein files. Well, my brother Eli, I gotta say, shout out to you for that comment, but the FBI didn't have any credibility with us ever since COINTELPRO got started. That gotta be said. Salute to our sister Angelic, Black RU. Randall Robinson in the building, much love to you. Fonessa in the building, much love to you. John Sun, Radical Renaissance. Jesse Paris. Our brother AO is in the building. Our sister Hurricane Nisi is in the building. Brother Reef, Tasting Teas with Tony. Shout out to our brother Christopher Ellis for the super chat. I appreciate your contribution as always, family. Blessings to you. B1 family. I'm still trying to recover from the roast y'all had on that tether on Sunday's broadcast. Yeah, there is a whole situation. Let's get into... let me see who else is in the building. Much love. I want to make sure I give all love to you guys. The Big Black God in the building. Much love to you. Ain't seen you in the chat in a minute. That means you on the road. I get it. I get it. Much love to you. Black RU, shout out to you. Thank you for gifting the 5 memberships. Much love to you, and I appreciate your contribution as always, family. Our brother William Aaron is in the building. Much love to you. Number 1 Switchblade. Damian Reeves, shalom, and much love to you, my brother. Still Kevin Trees is in the building. Much love to you. Our sister Astarte Jones is in the building. Sean Wright, Nitro 215. Want to make sure I got everybody. Warrior Cherub. Our sister Mrs. L is in the building. Much love to you and a big shalom to you. It's always a pleasure. Classy K, much love to you. Bernice Brass, much love to you. Thank you for being here, family. Our brother Zavon Scott is in the building. Much love to you. In case I didn't give a salute to our brother Reef, much love to you. Salute to our sister Aquarius Minded. Thank you for your super chat. Much love to you. I appreciate your contribution as always, family. And everybody who's not in the chat, much love to you. And everybody who's going to catch this on the playback, much love to you. And I know some people don't like how much time it takes to give a salute to the chat. I will never be one of those people. I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here and contributing to the chat. So I'm going to give you a shout out. That's just me. It's okay for everybody else, but for me, I'm going to give those salutes. A B1 salute to our sister Makiba Anderson. I don't know why the hell I got tongue twisted right there. Let's start off with going right here, family. Okay.
She is a heroine to some. As a fighter for black rights, she is a villain to others who believe she hides her crimes behind revolutionary rhetoric. Back in the 1970s, Assata Shakur was known as the soul of the self-styled Black Liberation Army, an armed group implicated in the killings of several police officers. In New Jersey, Governor Whitman has posted a $50,000 reward for her capture. Meet her now in Cuba. As she walks through Havana streets, she is just another shopper. She passes almost unnoticed by Cubans. Her name is Assata Shakur. In the United States, she is known by the police and FBI as Joanne Chesimard, one of the nation's most wanted fugitives, wanted for what police describe as the cold-blooded execution of a New Jersey state trooper back in the 70s. She denies it and says of the state cops,
they want to just kill me. They want to see me dead.
Chesimard was convicted in the killing of Trooper Werner Foster and the wounding of another trooper in a furious shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike in East Brunswick. That's where Chesimard was wounded, and one of two men in the car with her was killed. The other later captured. Police say that after Trooper Forrester was shot down, his own gun was ripped from his holster and 2 bullets were fired into his brain. After her capture in that deadly shootout, she was sentenced to life in prison. In 1979, with the help of 3 armed men, she broke out of the women's prison in Clinton, New Jersey.
She made her break this afternoon from the prison in Clinton, New Jersey, and lawmen once called her the soul of the Black Liberation Army.
Chesimard went underground and then surfaced in the 1980s in Cuba under Fidel Castro's protection. Now, at 50 and a grandmother, she agreed to talk with me in Havana. Chesimard, or Assata Shakur, insisted she had killed no one and was railroaded by an all-white jury and by what she called racist New Jersey state troopers.
Did you shoot Werner Foster?
No, I did not. I was shot with my arms in the air, then shot again in the back, and then left on the ground to die.
That is absolutely false. Our investigation shows that Joanne Chesimard initiated the conflict. She reached into her pocketbook, pulled out a 9mm weapon, and started firing at Trooper Harper.
Were you holding a weapon?
No, I was not. No.
Well, after almost 25 years, the roadway area has changed somewhat, but this is the spot where the shooting occurred. Joanne Chesimard was in the front seat on the passenger side. The driver of the car and Trooper Forrester were in the back of the car. It was after midnight, and shots rang out.
Harper, who was the other police that was at the scene,
other trooper
started to shoot. And, after that, everything is like foggy. It was horrible. It was like a prolonged version of hell. I felt like, everything was moving around. My chest started to explode. My head started to explode. And the next thing I knew, they were coming by me and saying, is she dead yet? Is she dead yet? And I was later taken to a hospital. And I was beaten. I was tortured.
I think that, as so happens so often with the criminal element, they have a tendency to turn things around, and they become the victim. We got to remember that, number one, there's a trooper who is dead.
And why did Assata Shakur escape from prison using hostages as a shield instead of appealing her case to higher courts?
I never received justice. And I escaped, A, because I was afraid for my life, and B, because I knew that I would never receive justice.
As to Chesimard's claim that she was left on the ground to die, Colonel Williams told me she and her Confederate actually sped away in their car 5 miles down the turnpike before she was finally captured, and that it was Trooper Forrester who was left on the ground to die. The Clinton, New Jersey prison from which Chesimard escaped has been rebuilt with much tighter security.
NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
All right, family. So I wanted to play that clip because we're going to get into some of the information that our sister was telling us. You know, she wrote in her book, and she spoke about it often, that she was tortured when she was captured after being shot. These dirty bastards tortured her by sticking their fingers in her bullet wounds. There is literally so much evidence to show that not only did she not pull that trigger, because her fingerprints was not on any of the guns, but that these folks participated within a kangaroo court in order to get her convicted, because a lot of the charges did not stick. A lot of the charges didn't stick. Most of the charges were dropped. Let me give a salute to our sister Patricia Green. Thank you for being here, family. And yes, we know exactly what they did, because she told us out her own mouth. They didn't think that she would survive to tell us out of her own mouth. But she did.
Altogether, spent 6.5 years in prison. I was accused of many things. I was acquitted on all charges except for the New Jersey charge, where I was accused of aiding and abetting in the murder of a New Jersey state trooper. I was tried by an all-white jury in a county where more than 70% of the people, based on a jury project study, were already prejudiced and thought I was guilty. It was a legal lynching, and I'm actually ashamed of even participating in that. I should have just stayed in the cell and said, y'all do whatever you want, because it wasn't a trial. It was a lynching. I was sentenced to life plus 30 years plus 30 days. I spent more than 2.5 years in solitary confinement in men's prisons. And in 1979, with the help of many people, many of my comrades, I was able to escape from prison, and there was no other possible alternative. There was no such thing as an appeal. My aunt was very frustrated. She was doing the appeal, and parts of the transcript disappeared. The evidence disappeared, and so there was no such thing, no such possibility of ever receiving justice in the courts of the United States. I still believe that there is no justice in the United States, and I still believe that more and more the court system and the criminal justice system is a criminal system, and which serves as a conveyor belt for poor people, for African people, for Latino people, for all oppressed people. I don't want this really to be a run-on sentence. I would like to have more of a dialogue, if that's cool with everybody. Is that cool with everybody? And so I've said a little bit about myself.
So shout out to her for living on her own terms. And shout out to everybody that had anything to do with getting our sister out of jail, protecting her for those 6 years that she was on the run here in America, and anybody who helped her get over there to Cuba. You see, I heard a space the other day that Tariq was putting on. And, you know, one of those tethers came in. I don't remember which one. You know, all the tethers kind of blend together after a while. You know, I don't know if it was Bushmeat Barrister or, you know, one of those other tethers. But he came in and he was saying that Assata Shakur fled. She's a fleer too. And that's not to say. I want to make sure that people understand the differences. Being a fleer and being an asylum seeker who actually fought against the government, two different things. Two different things. You see, a lot of these people flee their country because they just can't make it in their country. That's not really asylum seeking. A lot of these people flee their country because people within their country are corrupt. That's not really asylum seeking. Because you ain't fighting to get those corrupt people out of office. You're not fighting to eliminate those corrupt people in your country to make your country better. You decide to just leave because you don't want to deal with or have the responsibility of cleaning up your country. That's not what Assata did. Assata actually fought white supremacy in all its forms in the belly of the beast. And only when the kangaroo court stonewalled her did our people say, yeah, we're going to get you up out of here. Protected her for 6 years. And then said, you know what? We don't want you having to look over your shoulders. We're going to get you a spot over in Cuba. Especially because Fidel Castro was taking in asylum seekers. In every sense of the word, that's what Assata was. She wasn't a fleer, she was a fighter. So people like Bushmeat Barrister and all these other tethers who's running around disrespecting, acting as if she's guilty and all this other stuff are only showing us once again why we have delineated and why it was a good thing that we chose to do so. I want to go to this clip with her attorney speaking about the case after Barack Obama, the commanding tether-in-chief at the time, put her on the most wanted list. Let's go here, family.
A song for Assata by Common. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
Well, we continue to look at the case of Assata Shakur, legendary figure within both first the Black Panther Party and then the Black Liberation Army. On Thursday, she became the first woman ever to make the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. In addition, the FBI and the state of New Jersey doubled the reward for her capture to $2 million.
To talk about her case, we are joined by two people. Here in New York, Lennox Hines, Assata Shakur's longtime attorney. He's represented her since 1973. He's a professor of criminal justice at Rutgers University. And in Chicago, we're joined by the world-renowned author, activist, scholar Angela Davis, also a professor at University of California, Santa Cruz. And she is the subject of a recent film, Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. Angela Davis and Lennox Hines both wrote forewords to the book Assata, an autobiography. We invited the FBI to join us on today's program, but they did not respond to our request. I wanted to start with you, Lennox Hines. The significance of Assata Shakur being put on the FBI's terrorist list, the first woman ever to be added to the most wanted list.
My view on this is that this is a disingenuous act on the part of, driven by the state of New Jersey, and particularly the state police. As you know, for decades, the state police have wanted and demanded that the Cuban government extradite Assata Shakur to the United States. There is no extradition policy between Cuba and the United States. Just to deal with this in context, the Cuban government, pursuant to international law, that is particularly the Refugee Convention, have granted Assata Shakur political asylum. Now, what is the basis for that? It is if an individual has a well-grounded fear that if they return to the country from which they left, they would either be persecuted or prosecuted based upon their political beliefs and their race or religion. Now, this is not a new concept. There have been numerous individuals who have left the United States and went to foreign countries, allies of the United States, where those countries have refused to extradite them. France, for example, in the 1970s, there were Black Panthers who hijacked planes and went to France. Now, both France and the United States have extradition treaties. Not only that, France signed the 1963 Tokyo Convention, the 1970 Hague Convention, and the 1973 Montreal Convention with the United States. All of these are international agreements that require countries, host countries that are holding individuals who have hijacked planes to extradite them or try them. France, after conducting their own independent review of these Black Panthers, refused to extradite them to the United States based upon France's assessment that if they would be returned, they would be subject to political and racial repression. So I say that the Cubans' position is well grounded in international law. Now, why today is Assata Shakur now being branded a terrorist? If we look at the definition of terrorism, what is it? It is the use or the threat of use of force against the civilian population to achieve political ends. What happened in the case of Assata Shakur? You have heard in her own words, this woman was a political activist. She was targeted by whom? J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI in a program that was called COINTELPRO. That program was unveiled by whom? Frank Church, Senator Frank Church in the 1970s. He chaired the Senate Intelligence Committee. That committee determined that the FBI was using both legal but mostly illegal methods to do what? In the FBI's own words, they wanted to discredit, to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. That was the fear of the FBI, so that there would not be a Mau Mau, in their words, uprising in the United States. And they were, of course, referring to the liberation movement that occurred in Kenya, Africa. Now, the FBI carried out a campaign targeting not only the Black Panther Party. They targeted SCLC, they targeted Martin Luther King, they targeted Harry Belafonte, they targeted Eartha Kitt, they targeted anyone who supported the struggle for civil rights that they considered to be dangerous. It is in that context we need to look at what happened on the New Jersey Turnpike in 1973. What they call Joanne Chesimard, what we know as Assata Shakur, she was targeted by the FBI, stopped, and the allegation that she was a cold-blooded killer is not supported by any of the forensic evidence. If we look at the trial, we'll find that she was victimized. She was shot. She was shot in the back. The bullet exited and broke the clavicle in her shoulder. She could not raise a gun. She could not raise her hand to shoot. And she was shot while her hands were in the air. Now, that is the forensic evidence. There is not one scintilla of evidence placing a gun in her hand. No arsenic residue was found on her clothing or on her hands. So the allegation by the state police that she took an officer's gun and shot him, executed him in cold blood, is not only false, but it is designed to inflame.
But Mr. Andrews, before we get into more of the details of the case, this whole issue of 40 years later, suddenly branding her a terrorist and also insisting that she is a threat to the United States government at this time. Could you talk about the significance of that declaration?
Well, I believe that we have to look at it in the context of what has just happened in Boston. I think that with the massacre that occurred there, the FBI and the state police are attempting to inflame the public opinion to characterize her as a terrorist, because the acts that she was convicted of has nothing to do with terrorism. The acts that she was convicted of, if you look at the evidence, she was convicted of aiding and abetting and therefore was present during the shootout. The FBI and the state police's theory was that Sundiata Acoli shot Officer Foster. That was their theory during his trial.
One of the people in the car with her.
One of the people in the car.
Let me read the FBI press release, and you can respond to how they describe it. And we want to bring Angela Davis in as well. This was their press release yesterday describing the May 2nd, 1973 shooting. They said, on May 2nd, 1973, Chesimard and a pair of accomplices were stopped by two troopers for a motor vehicle violation on the New Jersey Turnpike. At the time, Chesimard, a member of the violent revolutionary activist organization known as the Black Liberation Army, was wanted for involvement in several felonies, including bank robbery. Chesimard and her accomplices opened fire on the troopers. One officer was wounded. His partner, Trooper Forster, was shot and killed at point-blank range. One of Chesimard's accomplices was killed in the shootout. The other was arrested and remains in jail. Chesimard fled but was apprehended. That's their statement yesterday.
Right. Also in this statement that I read, the superintendent of state police claimed that Assata Shakur took the officer Foster's weapon and shot him while he was on the ground. There is not one scintilla of evidence at the trial attesting to that. In fact, as I was saying before, she was incapable of lifting her hands, much less firing a weapon. Now you ask, what is the reason for this allegation at this time? We have to remember that 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, the then governor of the state of New Jersey, former governor, Christie Roth Whitman, she had issued and posted a $1 million bounty for Assata Shakur. Today it has been doubled, but we believe that putting Assata Shakur on the FBI's 10 most wanted list is designed to inflame the public and to characterize her as a terrorist when none of the acts alleged relates to terrorism. In fact, of all of the charges that have been leveled against her in New York, case after case, she was acquitted or the charges were dismissed. There was insufficient evidence to support any of the charges.
Well, let's just, in 1971, armed robbery case was dismissed. 1971, she was acquitted of bank robbery. 1972, hung jury. 1972, kidnap of drug dealer, acquitted, and then several other cases dismissed. Angela Davis, you're in Chicago right now to give a major address tonight at the University of Chicago. Can you talk about this news of Joanne Chesimard, Assata Shakur, now being put on the top 10 wanted terrorist list, the first woman ever to be put on this list?
Well, first of all, it was a major shock to hear that Assata Shakur has become the first woman to be added to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. And then to learn that they're adding another $1 million to the reward, the bounty, really. It seems to me that this act incorporates or reflects the very logic of terrorism. I can't help but think that it's designed to frighten people who are involved in struggles today. 40 years ago seems as if it were a long time ago, 4 decades. However, in the 21st century, at the beginning of the 21st century, we're still fighting around the very same issues: police violence, healthcare, education, people in prison, and so forth. So I see this as an attack not so much on Assata herself, although of course she deserves to be brought home. She deserves to be able to live out her life with justice and peace. It was wonderful that you allowed people through this program to hear Assata's words, because 40 years later, people really don't know the details of the case and are not aware of the extent to which she was targeted by the FBI, by the COINTEL program, as Lennox pointed out. And it's amazing that in 2013, where she is living in Cuba as a political refugee, having been given political asylum by Cuba, she is still pursued. And actually, this is an invitation for anyone to travel to Cuba illegally and to kidnap her and bring her back to the United States, if not shoot her dead. This is, as I said, was an extremely shocking revelation.
And Angela Davis.
So, family, this is what your boy Barack Obama, the commanding tether-in-chief, the tether of all tethers, and I say that because he was actually in the White House, this is what he chose to do. He didn't go after the KKK. He didn't go after the Proud Boys. He didn't go after the corrupt police officers in the force. He went after Assata. And shout out to our brother Black Alpha. If y'all didn't see his broadcast on Friday, he masterfully, broke down the fact that basically Barry O was listening to those Nabiscos. It was the Nabiscos that told Barry O to put our sister Assata on the FBI most wanted list. And for some, that's when they came to the realization that Obama wasn't really for us. It took all of that. And when I say all of that, I mean things like Ferguson. I mean things like the water crisis, right? Him going to Trayvon Martin's funeral, but then turning around, signing the Blue Lives Matter law into effect. Him telling us to stop being so woke. So many people in the community was still putting on the cake for him. But it was this act right here. The act of putting Assata Shakur on the FBI most wanted list, that act right there woke a lot of Negroes up. All of the explaining for Barack Obama, all of the, well, he can't just do nothing because, you know, he's the president, but he's the white man's president too. All that stuff went away. And that's when I seen the whole shift of how people react to Obama. Well, at least on the black grassroots level. I'm not talking about all those coons and buffoons and bootlicking shills. I'm talking about on a black grassroots level. I started seeing people really switching up. They was even, shout out to our brother Damon, Gaddafi as well, but they was really, how do you put it? They were caping for that situation too, to be honest with you. Even though Hillary Clinton came out and said, we saw, we killed Gaddafi. But when they put, oh man, that was one of the situations where I seen people all around my neighborhood cussing Obama out. Like literally cussing his name. F that mother lover. Assata, she ain't ever did nothing to nobody but try to fight for our freedoms, and y'all want to put her on the terrorist list? And family, this isn't a new thing. Them putting our freedom fighters on terrorist lists. Do you remember just a few short years ago, they was putting us on the terrorist list too? Talking about black organizations should be looked at as terrorist groups too. Yeah, this is what they do. When you fight for freedom, they try to take your freedom. When you fight for freedoms, they want to make sure you have no freedoms. If you ever had any to begin with. Now I'm glad. Exactly. And Flint is still messed up. Do you know it would only took maybe about $2 to $3 million in order to fix that whole crisis there? Excuse me, not million, $1 billion to fix that crisis. That could have been implemented over time. They could have implemented $250 million per quarter over time. But instead, they send Obama over there to drink the freaking fake water and say, no, this isn't a stunt. I'm really thirsty. Can I get a drink of water? Can I get a glass of water? You had Negroes in the background screaming, no, don't drink the water. If I was in the crowd, I would have said, get him a real glass of water from the tap. Let me go get this glass of water for him personally from the tap. But I digress. This isn't about the tether in chief. So let's get over here to the crux of what made me say, you know what? We're going to do a broadcast on this situation. Let's get to the tether. The bonnet wearing cricket wig tether.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm not too broken up about Assata Shakur's passing because I find it very ironic. You pick an African name, you flee to a Latino country for asylum, but what the hell did you actually do for us? Assata Shakur was for self, much like a lot of those Black Panthers. That's why they were dismantled. You use the struggling and suffering of Blacks to further your own movement. And before you get all pissed off, let me explain something to you. A lot of y'all that are Black in this country, the Black Panthers, as radical and loud as y'all are, baby, you would not have been accepted. The Black Panther Party did not like anybody who was LGBTQ. They didn't care for anybody who was of a different background. Like if you were not strictly Black American, they didn't give a fuck about you. So, like I said, and then she killed a police officer, and the movement she was, what was it called? The Black Liberation Army or whatever the fuck, broke in prison, took some people hostage, and, you know, broke her out. She left in a van and all that shit, whatever. And then she fled to Cuba, but Fidel Castro granted her political asylum. And that's what I want to bring to attention. Now, you don't advocate for anybody Black outside America, you know, but the Latino countries are the only place you can go for asylum. You didn't go nowhere that was primarily Black. You didn't go to Jamaica. You didn't go to, you didn't go to Africa. Why the hell did you pick Cuba? Because you know if you can't go nowhere else on this earth, Latinos will protect you. So at the end of the day, it's sad she passed, but it don't affect me in no way, shape, or form. And I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Again, just because I'm Black, nah. Black Panther Party really didn't do shit for us either besides give underprivileged Blacks the WIC program. And that's it.
All right, family, before we go back over it, I let it play through first so that everybody can hear her words in full with no interruption. Now we're going to chop down this woman's logic piece by piece. That's what we're going to do. Before we do that, though, let me give a B1 salute to Uncensored Truth. Thank you for being here, family, as well as our good sister Tampa Bay. Much love to you. Thank you for being here, family, as well as our good sister Donna C. Much love and shalom to you. Thank you for being here, family. Want to make sure Richie Almighty, thank you for being here, as well as Sean Wright. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Carol. Thank you for being here, my sister. And shout out to our brother William for the super chat. Much love to you. I appreciate your contribution as always. Who is this? Stop puffed marshmallow heifer. I know that you had that just in the chamber. That ain't come out of nowhere. Like, that ain't come out of nowhere. Much love to you, family. And also a B1 salute to our brother Antithesis in the building. Much love to you. Now, let's get into it. Let's chop down this woman's logic.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm not too broken up about Assata Shakur's passing because I find it very ironic. You pick an African name, you flee to a Latino country for asylum, but what the hell did you actually do for us?
See, that's coming from the mouth of somebody who's in America benefiting from what she actually did for us. This is what I'm talking about. These people get over here and they milk the benefits of our greatness. They milk the benefits of our freedom fighters. They milk the benefits of everything that we fought to possess here. And not just for ourselves. We fought for everybody to possess those equal rights, those contributions and everything else. That was what we were fighting for. None of these people fought for any of the rights that they receive here. But yet they can sail over here on a goddamn inner tube, playing with their belly button, with their bonnets on, and get over here and ask a stupid question, like, what did she actually do? It's time for one of these. You know what time it is. Salute to the brother Antithesis. Thank you for your Cashapp, your super chat. Excuse me. Much love to you. I appreciate your contribution, and it is always appreciated, family. Much love to you. Now, let's let her continue.
Assata Shakur was for self, much like a lot of those Black Panthers. That's why they were dismantled.
The Black Panthers was one of the only organizations that not only fought for Black people, but allowed other people of other races to join. So you get the Brown Berets from the Black Panthers. You had Asians who were a part of the Black Panthers. Why? Because the Black Panthers, they actually believed in community. So if you lived in the community, the Black Panthers would make sure you were taken care of, regardless of race. That was the Black Panthers. Well, unless you was a Nabisco, and we understand why. But that was the Black Panthers.
You use the struggling and suffering of Blacks to further your own movement. And before you get all pissed off, let me explain something to you. A lot of y'all that are Black in this country, the Black Panthers, as radical and loud as y'all are, baby, you would not have been accepted. The Black Panther.
The history doesn't match your talking points. The history doesn't match your talking points. Especially, to be more specific, because you say that Assata never spoke up for anybody outside of America. We just saw a clip. I just played the clip. Matter of fact, we're going to play it again. We're going to play it again.
And abetting in the murder of a New Jersey state trooper. I was tried by an all-white jury in a county where more than 70% of the people, based on a jury project study, were already prejudiced and thought I was guilty. It was a legal lynching, and I'm actually ashamed of even participating in that. I should have just stayed in the cell and said, y'all do whatever you want, because it wasn't a trial. It was a lynching. I was sentenced to life plus 30 years plus 30 days. I spent more than 2.5 years in solitary confinement in men's prisons. And in 1979, with the help of many people, many of my comrades, I was able to escape from prison, and there was no other possible alternative. There was no such thing as an appeal. My aunt was very frustrated. She was doing the appeal, and parts of the transcript disappeared, the evidence disappeared, and so there was no such thing, no such possibility of ever receiving justice in the courts of the United States. I still believe that there is no justice in the United States, and I still believe that more and more the court system and the criminal justice system is a criminal system which serves as a conveyor belt for poor people, for African people, for Latino people, for all the system is a criminal system which serves as a conveyor belt for poor people, for African people, for Latino people, for.
So you hear it out of her own mouth. Her speaking up for all people oppressed under the white supremacist system. Matter of fact, it ain't the only time she spoke up about it. Let's go here.
So I think that we have got to educate ourselves and prepare ourselves to fight a repressive system, an oppressive system, and a system that smashes the human being to the point where people don't even remember how to take a walk, how to say good morning, how to smile at each other. We have to take this planet back from the beasts that are controlling it right now. So I think that we have got to.
Hold on. Let's also go here.
Because I think that much more needs to be known out here in the world about what is going on in the United States, because the United States government always projects this image throughout the world that it is a champion of human rights. And the reality of that situation is that the United States is the biggest violator of human rights, not only in the United States, but all over the world. Because I think.
So where is the selfishness? Where is the only speaking for self? Let's get back to the buffoon.
The party did not like anybody who was LGBTQ. They didn't care for anybody who was of a different background.
The Black Panther Party had much respect for James Baldwin. Why aren't you bringing that up? Oh, because it doesn't match your narrative that you're pushing, right? Right? Okay.
Like if you were not strictly Black American, they didn't give a fuck about you. So, like I said, and then she killed a police officer. And
notice how she just jumped in and then she killed the police officer. She's running with the FBI rhetoric in the very same way that all these tethers who talk about Dr. King run with the FBI rhetoric. In the very same way that all these tethers who call the Black Panthers terrorists. It's the very same way. These people take whatever lie that the FBI push out and they run with it at full speed. And shout out to our sister Crystal Watson. Thank you for being here, family. They just take whatever they hear and run with it. They don't go look at the evidence. They don't go look at anything that happened in the case. They don't look at how she was treated in that kangaroo court. No. All they do is hear something from White Zaddy, and then they take it and run with it. Exactly, Black Are You. These are the new track stars. She's a runner. She's a track star. This is what we have. This is what we're dealing with. And this is why we've started to delineate. And not even started. We've delineated. Because of people like this. And I said it once and I say it again. If it wasn't for these people that they like shitting on so much, they wouldn't even be here. But you want to call Assata and the Black Panthers selfish. You know what? Let's go here, because you have some people running around here agreeing with this bonnet wearing, meat patty eating, dirty little broad. Let's go here, family.
People are mad at Bonnet Boss for saying that Assata Shakur didn't do anything for black people. And after doing my research, I kind of got to agree. Let's look at this whole situation literally. So please take your feelings and toss it to the side for the next 3 minutes or so. Assata Shakur didn't build, didn't spearhead, or contribute to any lasting social justice reform. He wasn't behind the free breakfast program, the clinics, or the educational work that the Black Panther Party was known for. Her main association was partially with that of the Panthers, but mainly with the Black Liberation Army, the BLA. When we observe what is documented about Assata Shakur outside of these groups, it's a string of crimes, bank robberies, shootouts, and the infamous New Jersey Turnpike incident.
All crimes that were either drop beaten or was literally put on her. Like I said, none of these people go and do the research. None of these people go and look at what happened in the case. But they feel so damn confident with jumping online doing this. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some dark money behind these people. We already know that these Republicans and Democrats will pay people to read a script. And I'm going to show you why I think that this is probably one of those situations in a minute. I'm going to let this tether finish with his talking points.
Because have we forgot what accessory to crime means? Even if she did not fire a shot during that shootout, it's the simple fact that she was in the car with and associated with a group of people, the exact same people who initiated the shootout with the police. So no, you don't have to actually pull the trigger in order to...
Idiot. The whole investigation brought to light that the police officer shot his gun first. Like I said, these people are just tap dancing for Zaddy, or they're reading talking points. Really, they're both one and the same.
To be held accountable for being a part of that group and actually there at the time that the incident was going down. That is a fact. That very much does make her responsible. And those same exact people breaking another federal law broke her out of prison and smuggled her to Cuba, which landed her on the FBI's most wanted list. Now, here's the important part. As popular as her story is, it didn't inspire any social justice, educational, or economic reform for Black people here in America.
Family, are you getting zesty vibes from them? I'm getting zesty vibes. That's what I'm getting out of this dude. A whole lot of zest. You ain't clean unless you're zesty clean.
And if we want to be very, very, very specific about it, her story didn't even inspire somebody else to initiate any social justice, any economic, or any educational reform for Black people here in America. Nothing tangible for Black Americans, nothing tangible for Black people came from her life. At best, her story is a cautionary tale in that if you are an accessory to a crime, you will be held accountable. Glorifying her as a revolutionary blurs the lines between strategic reform and reactionary violence. Because real reform looks like civil rights, Black Panther survival programs, legal challenges. It comes from discipline.
This idiot just literally said real reform looked like civil rights. while trying to say or separate the actions of Assata Shakur to get those civil rights passed. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. And I'm seeing y'all roasting him in the chat. Keep it going because he deserves every bit of it. And yes, to my sister, Mia Kim, he does look like Squidward. Thank you for being here. Much love to you. Exactly. Zesty clean. That's what he is. His hairline needs an Alka-Seltzer. Oh, man. You sure you don't need an Alka-Seltzer Plus? Young Obama. Yes, keep it coming.
Organization and intellect and not robberies and shootouts. Real reform does not come from a lifetime of violence and victimhood. It comes from using your intellect to infiltrate the system, to change the laws, and to create programs that actually improve Black lives. So it is very much rest in peace to Assata Shakur, but we can't get it twisted. She didn't build anything for us. She didn't leave anything tangible for the Black community. The Black Panther Party built programs that influence social work to this day. The BLA, the Black Liberation Army that she in particular was a part of and mainly associated with, was closer to a domestic terrorist group, robbing businesses in the homes of white people in the names of taking back what they think is theirs. So yeah, the more you know.
Yeah, family. I'm looking at these other pictures here of him. Yeah, I'm thinking he's sleeping with Zaddy. I think that he's sleeping with his pussy wide open. Yeah, I'm pretty much, I'm going to call it. And shout out to our brother Damon. Is this the last a-hole you're showing, church? I can't handle the blatant disrespect. Well, there's one more a-hole, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in between the last a-hole is literally put in between our family supporting and actually calling out the nonsense. So let's go there. Let's go there, family. I want to give a shout out to this brother here because he's calling out the fact that Bonnet Hippo, that's what I'm gonna call her. I can't call her no boss. Bonnet Hippo switched up her tune when it came to Assata. She used to talk about her like she was this great figure in history. All of a sudden, she said what she said about Assata, which makes me believe there's some paid talking points going on, and you know a tether won't turn down no dollar. Let's go here.
I'm so confused.
Assata did a lot for Black people.
But what the hell did you actually do for us? Assata Shakur was for self.
Now, y'all know I did a video with the bonnet lady. She was talking cold shit about Assata Shakur. And now I see a video where she bigged her up, saying that she did good for the Black community. Bitch, what you doing? You trying to play both sides of the coin? I knew it, though, from the beginning. Your ass just wanted some views. And you figured you say some wild shit that you'll get the views. Look, you got us talking about your ass. But my thing is, ain't that one of them videos get no goddamn motion. Bitch, you might want to tell a joke or something. Take that goddamn bonnet off. What's up under there anyway? It ain't no intelligence. I mean, that shit wild. You get on this motherfucking app and talk cold shit about your Black community. For what? You want to be on Trump's squad? I really don't understand. And you said on that previous video that you do your research and shit. Did you forget the shit? Did you forget what you researched on the first video? I just don't understand. I know one thing. Bitch, you ain't shit.
Shout out to that brother for calling it like he sees it. And also shout out to our sister Key Prince. Thank you for being here. She's a hateful Haitian tether. You absolutely correct. That brother said, what's under that body anyway? It ain't no intelligence. And I have to 100% agree. Let's go here, fam.
Bonnet Boss to get up on this internet and to sit in America enjoying the liberties that Black Americans fought for during civil rights and whatnot, and then to disrespect Assata Shakur talking about some Black Panther Party and her, they was all about self, they was only for Black Americans, and you guys already got y'all civil rights and shit. What the fuck have you as an immigrant or second generation or whatever the fuck you are, what have you done to do for your own people in legislation? Oh, okay. What have you? Black Americans do not have to include everybody in the fight that they're in the liberties that they're fighting for themselves. You guys came over here voluntarily. Who the fuck brought you here? I mean, it's almost like there's nothing there. It's almost like, is there someone home? And I don't care about nobody. Oh, you're being too rude. And she's been doing this for a long time. I allowed a whole lot of that stuff slide and nobody stopped her. My turn. Bonnet Boss to get.
Salute to Mrs. L. That is good. She shout out to you, my sister. She says she's known as the hungry hippo with her disrespectful ass. Yeah. Hungry tether. That is like, I love that. Oh, I love that. That is good. Thank you. Much love to you. Let's go here.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not too broken up about Assata Shakur's passing because I find it very ironic. You pick an African name, you flee to a Latino country for asylum, but what the hell did you actually do for us? Assata Shakur was for self, much like a lot of those Black Panthers. That's why they were dismantled. You use the struggling and suffering of Blacks to further your own movement. And before you get all pissed off, let me explain something to you. A lot of y'all that are Black in this country, the Black Panthers, as radical and loud as y'all are, baby, you would not have been accepted. The Black Panther Party did not like anybody who was LGBTQ. They didn't care for anybody who was of a different background. Like if you were not strictly Black American, they didn't give a fuck about you. So, like I said, and then she killed a police officer, and the movement she was, what was it called? The Black Liberation Army or whatever the fuck, broke in prison, took some people hostage, and, you know, broke her out. She left in a van and all that shit, whatever. And then she fled to Cuba, but Fidel Castro granted her political asylum. And that's what I want to bring to attention. Now, you don't advocate for anybody Black outside America, you know, but the Latino countries are the only place you can go for asylum. You didn't go nowhere that was primarily Black. You didn't go to Jamaica. You didn't go to, you didn't go to Africa. Why the hell did you pick Cuba? Because you know if you can't go nowhere else on this earth, Latinos will protect you. So at the end of the day, it's sad she passed, but it don't affect me in no way, shape, or form.
We gonna get back to this clip. I gotta do this. I gotta do it. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is what we're dealing with. The Tootsie Roll hippopotamus, hungry tether. That's what we're dealing with. Okay. Yes. Shout out to you, family. Let's get back over here.
And I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Again, just because I'm Black, nah. Black Panther Party really didn't do shit for us either besides give underprivileged Blacks the WIC program. And that's it.
Damn, this is a hell of a take. I respect it, but you're hella.
I don't respect it at all. But I'm gonna let you go off because you know what I'm saying. You got some things to say.
Misinformed though, beloved. It sounds like you're like reading a Sean Hannity article about the Panthers. If you really want to feel what the Panthers were, you should take a trip to the Bay because you're so off. First off, the Panthers died poor. They were young people. They didn't profit off their movement. They fed the babies. They gave the babies clothes. When a lot of mothers and fathers was on dope, the Panthers fed the community. The reason why the Panthers, it's a lot of propaganda against them because they're one of the few Black organizations that met violence with violence. They signed the Mumford Bill because of the Panthers, okay? Assata Shakur was exiled, and you mentioned that she unalived a cop. The police was terrorizing people in those areas, and the Black Panther Party met violence with violence. The police shot up Panther chapters, Bunchy Carter, and the likes. You mentioned that the Panthers never aligned with anyone non-Black. What? Chairman Fred was killed because of his ability to organize. Chairman Fred said, Black power for Black people, brown power for brown people, white power for white people. Chairman Fred was only 21 years old. He had the ability to organize poor people, whites, Spanish, Black, Irish, didn't matter, right? He was dangerous. They took him out, okay? Huey would have never got out if it wasn't for the whites that were championing him with the Free Huey campaign, right? The reason why America hated the Panthers, because the Panthers aligned with the Communist Party. They was aligned with the Weather Underground. They was aligned with a lot of white radicals. Their book that they carried around was the Little Red Book by Chairman Mao, okay? The Panthers had a lot of problems in their organization. They were young, right? There was a lot of misogyny and everything, right? But many of the Panthers had white girlfriends. Hella misogyny in there, though. Don't get it twisted. Elaine Brown and them did talk about their experiences being in the Panthers and how the men had patriarchal views. But at the same time, the Panthers is one of the few organizations where women had leadership roles. All you have to do is go to the footage. You see women with their berets on, with the afros, with shotguns in their hand, leading marches, right? This is a crazy take, because what you're talking about, what you're speaking down on, is one of the few Black organizations that did not turn the other cheek. They was willing to meet violence with violence, and their ministry was in the street. They fed these poor babies. They clothed these poor babies, right? They would rob banks to give back to the poor. They would shoot it out with the police that was terrorizing Black people. You know what I'm saying? And the ideal that nobody went to Africa, nobody went to different parts outside of Latin America. Are you tripping? This is a crazy take. It's a crazy take because you're taking a position without doing the knowledge. So where I come from is study to show thyself approved. You got to do the knowledge before you open your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Elaine Brown has books. Angela Davis has books. Assata Shakur has books. The other day, there's a bookstore here in Arizona. There was a dude in there. He did 51 years. 51 years. He was a Panther. 51 years. They gave these people football numbers, political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, Mumia is still in jail. You know what I mean? The reason why the Panthers is important, again, they are one of the few Black organizations that was willing to meet violence with violence. Wasn't no talking. It was bearing arms, and it was activating other Blacks to bear arms too. And do you know who was the number one people that pushed back on the Black Panther Party? It was the Black church, Black conservatives, because they wanted to be good Negroes, right? J. Edgar Hoover was concerned about a Black Messiah coming out of these ghetto organizations led by the Panthers. It was the revolutionary spirit that they had, and J. Edgar Hoover used all his resources to dismantle the Panthers. They would create false letters back for the leadership, Eldridge Cleaver and Huey, and go back and forth as if they wrote letters back to each other, beefing with each other. I mean, they broke the back on these young people. Remember, the Panthers were young. Many of them were college students, but unlike a lot of other organizations, these people ain't profit off that, right? It's still people to this day in jail. And with some bad press like this, like, it's already crazy that many of the young people don't know who these people are, but then to put something out like this and you're dead ass wrong, come on, man. The lady blood ain't even wet. Like, you just you had to say something. Like, these people were exiled, right? Can't come back to America. Their chapters were shot up, and it was bad press put up on them like they were the aggressors. The police were being violent to Black people, and Black Panther Party told Black people that they had a right to bear arms. They created the Mumford Bill for these people. You know what I'm saying? The Black Panther Party put books in illiterate people's hands. The Black Panther Party told people what the Constitution was, what the Bill of Rights was. These were very politically active people. They were young. They had no idea about COINTELPRO. They had no idea about the sophistication of the state, right? But to put this kind of press out, I feel you, free speech, but study to show thyself approved, right? Before you say something like this, you got to come with your library. What are you reading off of? Do you have Assata Shakur's bio?
I can tell you what she's reading off of. She's reading off of a barbecue menu. That's what she's reading off of. She's reading off the pork belly skins that she's eating. That's what she's reading off of. The bag that the pork belly skins come in. That's what she's reading off of. I'm just assuming. I'm pretty sure.
Do you know the struggle of Elaine Brown? Right? Eldridge Cleaver is a sketchy character, but do you know about Soul on Ice? What about H. Rap Brown? Have you ever heard of Geronimo Pratt? Skip the Panthers. Do you know about Sister Soldier? Like, damn. You just, when I was 19, I just thought I was a fucking revolutionary. That's why I know about this shit, you know what I mean? But if you're really interested in the story of the Panthers, take a trip to the Bay. I guarantee you'll have a different feeling. You know what I'm saying? Very few Blacks get in the street and feed these babies and clothe these babies. Crazy take.
Shout out to that brother for bringing the truth to the light and power and putting power in thy name. Because, yeah, like I said, it's a crazy take, but it's also a dumb take, which shows me that either she's being paid to spew these talking points, she was giving her talking points, or she's just a flip-flop. That's what she is. And the fact that she's talking about she didn't go to Africa, I'm going to be honest with you. With knowing what we know now about Africans, I'm glad she didn't go to Africa, because they would have turned her in for that $2 million in a heartbeat, no questions asked. Let me say that again. I am glad that Assata Shakur did not go to Africa, because what we know now and what we're seeing here with our own damn eyes, them people would have turned her in with no questions asked to get that $2 million. You see, the reason she went to Cuba was the fact that Fidel Castro was accepting asylum seekers from America. Why? Because America was accepting asylum seekers from Cuba. Cuba are people, there was different Cubans the American government was using, trying to bomb Fidel Castro, tried to assassinate Fidel Castro. So they had all these different foreigners from Cuba who they were using to try to dismantle Fidel Castro's administration. And when they got caught up, then America would give them asylum. That's why Fidel Castro said, oh, okay, well, I have no problem giving Assata Shakur asylum here. I'm going to make sure nobody messes with her. And salute to Fidel Castro for that. But let's be very clear. Cuba was the best pick that she could have made. Because if she would have went anywhere else in the Caribbean, if she would have went anywhere else or anywhere in Africa, we know for damn sure that them folks would have turned her in. Or they would have agreed with the extradition. Let's go here, family.
Man, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing this beautiful Saturday? Hope everybody doing great today. But check this out. Man, let me give my condolences and my RIP to Assata Shakur. Man, she was a strong sister. We all know her story. We all know everything about her. I don't have to get too deep into it. But my condolences to her daughter also. Shout out to her too. But let me say this. I've been seeing a lot of disrespectful videos regarding our beloved sister, Assata Shakur. Now, there's one lady, and people tell me she's a tether. She's not Black American. And she's saying all these disparaging things about Assata Shakur, how she wasn't important, what did she do, why she fled to Cuba, this and that. And one of the things that stuck out to me was I'm seeing a lot of Africans and Caribbeans say this. Well, why she didn't? Well, if she was so Pan-African, why did she didn't flee to Jamaica, or why did she go to Africa? I want y'all to think about this. Just think about this, Black Americans. If Assata Shakur would have broke out of prison, been on the run, then fled to Jamaica or any Caribbean island or to Africa, they would have turned her in. Those Africans and Caribbeans would have turned her in. You damn right she made the right decision not to go to any of those Black countries or islands. I wouldn't either. Why would I go to a country where they do their own people filthy? Man, if a one white man come over and said, well, Assata Shakur, they would have handed her over. They would have handed her over. So it's the reason why she went to Cuba. Because America was doing a lot of foul things to the people in Cuba anyway. Singing fake operatives over there, trying to knock out Fidel Castro and all types of shit. So she was safer there. It's sad that she couldn't go to a place where people look like her or as melanated as her. I ain't saying Cubans don't look like her, but there was a lot of, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. So yeah, man, I ain't like that disrespect of these Africans talking about, well, she was so Pan-African, she should have went to Africa. Why she didn't go to Africa then? Because y'all would have turned on her. Y'all would have turned that lady in for a mirror, a bottle of water, and a goose. That's all them white folks had to offer y'all. That lady wouldn't even survive all these years. She wouldn't have got to live the best, beautiful years of her life in Africa or in the Caribbean. I think I would have turned in. She know y'all. She made the right decision. That's why she never left where she was at.
Salute to our brother Brian Jehovah, my good brother Brian Jehovah, as well as our brother Breeze Omega in the building. Much love to you. He said they would have turned her in for a mirror and a bottle of water. That's that right there is the truth. That right there is the truth. Let's go, family.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not too broken up about Assata Shakur's passing because
I know white people love uneducated Black folks like you. And this is the reason why we are living in a time of anti-intellectualism, because there's nothing more pleasing to white supremacy and its ideology than a Black folk who is uneducated. They just love that, okay? They basically love the idea that you don't have the sense that God gave you. The fact that at your big old age and you're living in 2025 and you don't know that Black advocacy has always made us a target for the FBI. They have always targeted Black advocates. They always feel as if it goes against what America stands for. And that is the reason why Billie Holiday was targeted, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, and Malcolm X is no longer here with us today, all because they were Black advocates. And the fact that you don't know that is absolutely insane. What did Assata Shakur do for our community? What did you do for the community? Because that's the real question. And the fact that you ain't educate yourself to know who Assata Shakur is, even though she left that information.
I thought that was the whole clip, family. My apologies. But y'all get the gist of what that sister was saying. These people are just either willfully ignorant or being paid. And I would take it as far to say they're both. They're both. But even people like, I gotta say, Amanda Seals, the woman who don't know what she's going to be the next day. One day she's FBA. Another day she's not. Where the truth of the matter is, she was never FBA. But she claims FBA on one day while claiming the next day that she isn't. claiming that her father's Jamaican. All of a sudden, she's claiming that her father's FBA. She out here, and she felt like she needed to address this as well. So I'll let her say her piece.
Assata Shakur left us yesterday. She left us.
See, here's the difference between myself, our brothers and sisters in the Black grassroots, the FBAs, and people like Amanda Seals. We know Assata didn't leave us. We know that the spirit of Assata, the essence of Assata, resides within us. We know that our sister has joined the ancestors to not only have our back, but to watch it. People such as yourself believe she left us. But I'll let you cook.
Assata Shakur left us yesterday. She left us. She never made it back to this land. Do you understand that? This Black woman had to escape. She had to self-exile. And when he was in office, Barack Obama raised the bounty on her head to $2 million. You think Kamala Harris is going to make a statement about Assata Shakur?
No, not at all. All right, Amanda, I'll let you have your say. I want to go here because there's another talking point that's being peddled around, and I believe it's a paid talking point, where people are asking, well, if Assata died in exile, did she really die free? And that's a stupid question, because she was able to freely move. She was able to have children, grandchildren, and die from old age complications. That sounds pretty free to me. But I wanted to let this brother say his piece about that situation. Let's go here.
I've seen some conversations pop up on if Assata Shakur really died in freedom or not, right? Like the argument here is that, can you really be free while in exile? You're an African American and you're not allowed to go back home, right? Like, so like, are you really free then? And while I definitely see where the exile argument is coming from, especially when you factor in Assata's nationality and ethnic background, this argument is purely based in semantics, as most arguments are. And it really ignores the true reality of the situation. Because let's get one thing clear. The New Jersey State Police Department, the FBI, the CIA, even the Obama administration wanted to kill Assata Shakur. They wanted to murder her. And she would have died way earlier than she died now if she was still in that New Jersey State prison. When the New Jersey Police Department caught her the first time, they quite literally tortured her and stuck their fingers in her gun wounds. The Obama administration put her on the FBI top 10 most wanted list in 2013. And by that point, she had already been in Cuba for decades. And that is to say, this revolutionary went through the fucking fire, went through it all. And our government tried to use her to set an example multiple times, like so many times. And that's the reality of the situation. Assata Shakur got to live out the rest of her days in Cuba and died of natural causes at 78 years old. This is quite literally something that never would have happened if she wasn't in exile. If she got caught, if she was still in that New Jersey State prison, she would have been killed by the New Jersey Police Department in the 70s or 80s. And again, we're talking about officers who stuck their unwashed, dirty-ass fingers in her gun wounds. They would have tortured this woman to death. So at least now we have the pleasure of getting to say that our revolutionary ancestor, Assata Shakur, got to live the rest of her days out in Cuba, in exile, died at 78 years old, contributed heavily to Black feminist thought, Black radical thought, inspires young Black people like myself, and never got caught by the U.S. empire and never will. Also, big shout out to Cuba for keeping Assata alive this entire time and keeping their word. They said they would never extradite her, never let her get kidnapped, never let her get took, and it never fucking happened. Big shout out to Cuba. Big shout out to Castro. Big shout out to Fidel Castro.
And I agree. Oh, dang. This is, even though, you know, the dude, I seen the septum ring too. I seen it. But he was speaking facts, so I allowed him to do so. Okay. But yeah, big shout out to Cuba and big shout out to Fidel Castro for keeping her safe. And as I stated, if she would have went anywhere else, it wouldn't have been the same situation. It just wouldn't. Now, let's get into the last asshole that thought that they could disrespect our sister's name. And this asshole is the crooked director of the FBI, Kash Patel. Kash Patel decides to put up this post, and it didn't really go so well for him. Joanne Chesimard didn't fight for justice. She murdered New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forrester. I thought it was Foster, but okay. In cold blood. Then fled to Cuba to escape accountability. The FBI never stopped calling her what she was, a terrorist. But you never call the KKK terrorist. You don't call these school shooters terrorists. Mourning her as a spit in the face. Mourning her as spitting on the badge and the blood of every cop who gave their lives in service. Where's the badge at? Damn that badge. You mean that badge that was only created for slave catchers? You mean that badge that allowed white supremacists to unalive Black Americans with impunity? You mean that badge that allowed these officers to go in our communities and target our children? That badge? Let me spit on it again. What the hell is this crooked-eyed crony talking about? You wasn't even a citizen. Okay. All right. Yes, thank you. The Thugs in Blue, the biggest gang in America. Trump will dismiss him like he did Vivek. I hope so. And I hope he do it in the most embarrassing way. Let's get to some of these comments, though. You know, I have to jump in and say something. You and your eye are both crooked. Have a seat, sir. Shout out to our brother Nas. He said, there is nothing on earth that will make me side against any Black American who was targeted during the civil rights movement by the FBI. Sure as hell, not this cross-eyed Indian who has no idea who Dylan Roof is. You should focus on the Epstein list. You DEI Indian hire. Shout out to him. Shout out to our brother Black Voltron, who came in and said, allow me to spit directly into your tether immigrant face, Cash. Rest in peace, paradise, and Black power to our foundational Black American revolutionary, iconic hero, Assata Shakur. She fought against systematic American anti-Black racism and white supremacy to the death. Shout out to Grimes TV, who said terrorist says the organization behind COINTELPRO. Your hate group / organization terrorized Black people and organizations for decades. You found no crime on the Black Panthers. So you had to keep trumping up charges on them. You're the same organization that stalked Dr. King, assassinated him, then started tweeting, wishing him a happy birthday decades later. Hashtag fail. Salute to our sister, excuse me, I don't know sister or brother, but salute to lineage over melanin. Your family wasn't even in the country when this story was actually happening. You're spewing a secondhand account from your white paymasters that assassinated many, just like our sister Assata. You look stupid. Shout out to white people and are anti-Black for this picture here. Press the button, die, or wear deodorant. Look at all that hair. These folks are hairy as hell. I ain't gonna lie about that. That's disgusting, but okay. Let's just pause that. Ain't shit as MFers in this corrupt, evil ass government. You motherfuckers are satanic. Now, let's get over here. Shout out to our sister Nicety Girl. Much love to her, as always. She says, that badge represents slave catchers. The system designed to destroy Black leaders, disrupt our movements, and silence our voices. Shout out to my sister Nicety Girl. Excuse me. Let's go here, family.
Cash Patel, y'all, said that mourning the death of Assata Shakur, y'all, is basically spitting on the badge and blood of every cop who gave their life in service, right? So, are the same cops who killed, Malcolm X or anyone else that was a part of the Black Liberation Party or the Black Panther Party, was that a spit in their face as well? Is that a spit on their badge as well? Fred Hampton and all the other deaths that came about due to, cops. This goofy motherfucker made a post on Twitter, y'all, and said that Joanne Chismard, because that was her name. Her name was Joanne Deborah Chismard. Okay, y'all, that is Assata Shakur's original name, right? They said she didn't fight for justice. He said she murdered New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster in cold blood, then fled to Cuba to escape accountability. The FBI never stopped calling her what she was, which is a terrorist. And in the words of the great Assata Shakur, you guys, right? I'm going to say what she would have to say about this today, because she wouldn't give a fuck about what Mr. Cash Patel has to say about her. But if she did, this is something that she just might say, because she was the best, and she is still the best within all of our hearts. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. And that is in the words of Assata Shakur herself. Respect the fucking queen. You have got some fucking nerve. You can barely get your story straight on Epstein files. You can barely get your story straight on whether the FBI was at the fucking January 6th, at the White House doing that. You can barely get your story straight, period. Shut the fuck up, Mr. Patel. You and all them other weak-ass police officers. Are you fucking kidding me? This shit is, honestly, I'm not angry. I'm actually humored, because it's actually fucking funny of you. It's very funny of you and not surprising of you and many others to be upset the fact that we all know and that we have had people and still do have people who have spoken up and spoken out, right? So, Assata doesn't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. And like we said before, rest in power. Rest in fucking power, Mr. Shakur, and we will carry on your mission. Fuck you, Mr. Patel.
Sir, please shut the hell up. I understand that you're still trying to deflect from that debauchery of an investigation that you call an investigation of, the the person whom I'm not going to name unaliving. You're trying to deflect. Don't tell us what to do. As the words of the song go, stay the out of Black people's business, because she's our ancestor now. Of course we're going to mourn her. She died a free woman and didn't do what y'all try to say that she did. Goes by the name of Cash, but still hasn't learned that tokens get spent.
Oh, shout out to that sister. That was a cold little bar right there. That was bars. If I ain't ever heard bars. She said, you call yourself Cash, but haven't figured out that tokens get spent. Oh, that was good. Shout out to that sister. I wish I'd have thought of that myself. I truly do. But it's just as great coming from one of our FBA sisters. Much love to her for that. Now, shout out to our brother Reparations Nation in the building. Much love to you, family. Cash, to you and every person that feel like you, and everybody in the FBI, and all the officers, badges that you're talking about, I would think I speak for all of us within the foundation of Black America when I dedicate this song to you.
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you. Fuck, 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 fuck.
Let me play that again.
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you. Fuck, 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 fuck.
Shout out to Jamie Foxx for that right there. And I dedicate that to Cash Patel, anyone that feels like him, anyone in the FBI, and anyone in law enforcement who feel that way. That's it. That's all. And I'm going to keep it real plain. Shout out to my brother, Berners Brash. Make it plain, my brother. That's what we're going to do. Because I want to make sure people understand this is what the FBI was doing to us.
The FBI's counterintelligence program, known as COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program, began in 1956. Its aim was to disrupt communist activities in the United States. By the 1960s, thanks to the power that the head of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, commanded, COINTELPRO had become a duplicitous and destructive government-sponsored weapon against civil rights activists, Black nationalists, and basically anyone Hoover didn't like. And he really didn't like the Black Panther Party. Through COINTELPRO, Hoover and the FBI waged war against the Black Panther Party with sabotage, misinformation, and lethal force. Here's Kim Bay to tell you more about it.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was founded in 1966 in Oakland, California, and quickly became the most influential militant Black Power organization of the 20th century. Its members confronted politicians, challenged the police, and protected Black citizens from brutality. The party's community service programs, called survival programs, provided food, clothing, and transportation. Within 1 year of the formation of the Black Panther Party, the FBI considered them political dissidents and established an extensive counterintelligence program known as COINTELPRO. Although other groups were targeted, the Black Panther Party bore the full brunt of J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO program. According to declassified FBI documents, COINTELPRO's purpose was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of the Black nationalists.
This is African American History is American History.
COINTELPRO used infiltration, perjury, police harassment, and many other unlawful tactics designed to undermine Panther leadership, incriminate and assassinate party members, discredit and criminalize the party, and drain organizational resources and manpower. The COINTELPRO operation ultimately backfired on Hoover. Instead of weakening the Black Panther Party, the FBI's killing and arresting of Panther members only served to increase the party's support among African Americans and many whites on the political left. They valued the Panthers as a powerful force that was opposed to segregation and the military draft. The Black Panther Party's mission was to make the world a better place for everybody. While Hoover relentlessly painted the Black Panther Party as subversive criminals, the Black community saw the party as a force for good. By the end of 1968, Black Panther Party founders Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale launched many social programs, including free breakfast for school children and community health clinics. The Black Panther Party enrolled the most members and had the most influence in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Philadelphia. There were active chapters in many prisons, as an increasing number of young African American men were being incarcerated.
This is African American History is American History.
While the words of other civil rights activists like Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, and Malcolm X are widely read and revered, those of Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, and Fred Hampton are hardly, if ever, taught and shared. And yet today, many current community activists fighting racism, voter suppression, and inequity will tell you that the Black Panthers' impact on civil rights is immeasurable.
In 1969, Chicago police gunned down and killed Black Panther Party members Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, who were asleep in their apartment. About 100 bullets were fired in what police described as a fierce gun battle with members of the Black Panther Party. However, ballistics experts later determined that only one of those bullets came from the Panther side. Although the FBI was not responsible for leading the raid, a federal grand jury later indicated that the Bureau played a significant role in the events leading up to the raid. The Black Panther Party officially dissolved in 1982. In 1989, the new Black Panther Party was founded in Dallas, Texas. Both the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center list the new Black Panther Party as a Black separatist hate group. Despite its name, the new Black Panther Party is not an official successor to the Black Panther Party. The Huey Newton Foundation, former chairman and co-founder Bobby Seale, along with members of the original Black Panther Party, have insisted that this new Black Panther Party is illegitimate and have strongly objected to it.
Edgar Hoover and the COINTELPRO operation had a very direct, devastating impact on the Black Panther Party. In every chapter, there was at the very least, a serious informant, but most of the time was not only an informant, but also a provocateur, someone who will be in the group to agitate, to confuse. People on the East Coast were supposed to get letters from people on the West Coast and vice versa, talking about each other, and it ultimately caused a split within the Black Panther Party, but they weren't sending the letters. The letters were coming from the FBI. I would say that Hoover's effect and his impact on African Americans and our attempt in our struggle for freedom has been extremely negative. He destroyed several Black leaders. He destroyed and broke the back of numerous Black movements. It was learning at the feet of Garvey that J. Edgar Hoover became the monster that he was, the one to destroy civil rights and civil liberties, using a state-sponsored terrorism that was also racist to destroy struggles for democracy by Black people.
So, family, that's what we have to deal with. That's what we consistently have to deal with. We still have not moved past COINTELPRO tactics from the FBI. Cash. We still haven't gotten past infiltration within Black spaces in order to push narratives. Cash. Whatsoever. Hell, during civil rights, during the time of civil rights, when we was fighting for civil rights, do you know that J. Edgar Hoover came out saying that he refused to protect anybody who was fighting for civil rights? Oh, I'll let you hear it for yourself, family. Let's go here.
Because I've seen some fantastic statements that made that practically all of our agents in the Deep South offices are men who've been born and reared in the Deep South. I can say that 70% of the agents in the 23 southern offices were born in the North, and the remaining 30% were born in the South. I don't share the feeling that is been advanced by some extremists that a man, because he's born in the South, can't conduct or won't conduct a fair, impartial investigation of any case that is assigned to him, whether it be a racial case or whether it be a criminal case. I am confident that every agent in this bureau, from wherever he may come, whatever race he may be, or whatever color he may be, will conduct his duties as a responsible, dedicated man, but as certainly do not and will not give protection to civil rights workers. In the first place, the FBI is not a police organization. It's purely an investigative organization, and the protection of individual citizens, either natives of the state or coming into the state, is a matter for the local authorities. The FBI will not participate in any such protection. The communists in this country had organized very intensely a drive to infiltrate into the racial discord and discontent in the country. And obviously that is being carried forth in every field of activity that the communists can find any fodder to feed on.
There you have it. The man said himself he refused to protect any civil rights workers, but they have no problem protecting the Klan. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it. They have no problem protecting crooked police officers. They have no problem protecting pedophiles, crooked judges, crooked politicians. Oh, y'all have no problem protecting them. So once again, Cash Patel, you can go to hell and burn with Charlie Kirk. Shout out to Reparations Nation for this comment. There are far too many comfortable Sambos, coons, and tethers to do what the Panthers, Deacons of Defense, etc. did back then. They always snitch. So now we have to be individual sleeper cells. I remember I was in the conversation. I was in the space with our brother Black Alpha. And somebody came up and asked the question. And he asked, why don't our people have people like them? People like Charlie Kirk, people like, hell, the Jewish Mossad. I've heard all kind of freaking people say stupid stuff like that. The reason why we don't have people like Charlie Kirk is because we're not a hateful people. a hateful people. We are a people of justice, and we always have been. And the reason why we don't have groups like the Mossad is because just what my brother Reparation Nation just said, there's way too many comfortable Sambos and Coons and Tethers. Somebody would definitely snitch somebody out. Let's be very clear. So shout out to my brother Reparations Nation for that comment. Much love to you. And much love to our sister Hurricane Nisi. Thank you for this comprehensive commentary. Much love to you, my sister, as always. As always. This is what they wanted to see from us, family. Trigger warning.
You are the ones who are going to decide for yourselves what happened in that apartment on the morning of December 4th. You're going to decide whether or not Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were the victims of premeditated murder.
December 4th, 1969 at 10:54 a.m. My name is Skip Andrew, and I'm at 2337 West Monroe Street, Chicago, Illinois. This door, which is the door entering into the living room, has two holes in it. This one I'm pointing to right here, 10 inches from the edge, and this one down here, 12 inches. The first one I referred to being 25 from the top, and the second one 36 from the top. Now, as you open this, there's also, of course, a knob door in this one. As you open this door, there's blood behind the door. The top hole shows that the bullet was incoming.
They fired through the door and hit the brother through the door. The brother fell here. Most of the blood is dried up, but you can see a little bit of it there and a little bit of it on the floor. The brother was shot 4 or 5 times, so after they came through the door, they shot him again to make sure he was dead.
Mr. Montgomery, Dr. Constantino testified today that Mark Clark could not have struggled after receiving that shot through the heart. Now, in your mind, does this contradict the testimony of Officer Davis, who described a struggle?
Yes, it seems to me that was a very startling thing. We also learned that the bullet, which was in fact recovered from Mr. Hampton's body, was a bullet fired out of a carbine by Officer Davis. So that indicates also that Officer Davis may well have walked into that back bedroom, contrary to his testimony, and fired a shot into the body of Fred Hampton at one point in time or other.
Mr. Hanrahan, can you tell me why your officers did not try to use tear gas? Isn't this the usual procedure to flush someone out of a building?
Our officers used the means necessary to effect the search and to prevent themselves from being killed upon after they were fired upon.
Isn't it true that your men usually use tear gas in situations such as this, and why didn't they use it this time?
No, that is not true.
It is not true?
They came with a murder on their mind, you see. Even if they want to take somebody to jail, it would be a simple matter of just shooting some tear gas and just throw everybody out right on. This is where our chairman had his brains blown out, and he lay in his bed, sleeping at 4:30 in the morning.
Someone came into the room, started shaking the chairman. Said, Chairman, wake up, the pigs was laughing. Still half asleep. I looked up, and I saw bullets coming from, it looked like the front of the apartment, from the kitchen area. They were, pigs were just shooting. And about this time, I jumped on top of the chairman. He looked up. Looked like all the pigs converged at the entranceway to the bedroom area, back bedroom area. The mattress was just going. You could feel the bullets going into it. I just knew dead, everybody in there. When he looked up, he didn't say a word. He didn't move, except for moving his head up. He laid his head back down to the side like that. He never said a word. He never got up off the bed. The person who was in the room, they kept hollering out, stop shooting, stop shooting. We have a pregnant woman, a pregnant sister in here. At that time, I was 8.5 to 9 months pregnant. My baby was to be delivered in 2 weeks. Pigs kept on shooting. So he kept on hollering out. Finally, they stopped. They pushed me and the other brother by the kitchen door and told us to face the wall. Heard the pig say, he's barely alive, he'll barely make it. I assume they were talking about Chairman Fred. So then they started shooting the pigs. They started shooting again. I heard the sister scream. They stopped shooting. The pig said, he's good and dead now. The pigs were running around laughing. They were really happy, you know. Talking about Chairman Fred is dead. I never saw Chairman Fred again.
Inflammatory statements and false charges against our office have been made by spokesmen for the Black Panther Party and others, despite the fact that the speakers had no reliable knowledge about the occurrence.
So the best account that I can give is the room that I was in and the actions of things surrounding me personally, you know. First thing I remember when I woke up was a knock on the door, and it was only a matter of seconds. In fact, I'd say it was less than 5 seconds that I heard, you know, shots. Now, the thing that struck me was that I not only heard shots, but I can see plaster coming out of the walls in my room. So I knew the bullets were coming through the room that I was in.
The great variance between the physical evidence and the testimony of the officers raises the question as to whether the officers are falsifying their accounts. Those officers fired 99 shots through the walls of an apartment where they knew people were sleeping. Murder is defined in Illinois as follows: a person who kills an individual without lawful justification commits murder if, in performing the acts which caused the death, he knows that such acts create a strong probability of death or great bodily harm to that individual or another. Federal grand jury comes to its conclusions. Unquestionably, the raid was not professionally planned or properly executed, and the result of the raid was 2 deaths, 4 injuries, and 7 improper criminal charges. In spite of those conclusions, the report then goes on to say, the physical evidence and the discrepancies in the officers' accounts are insufficient to establish probable cause to charge the officers with a willful violation of the occupant's civil rights.
Family, that's what they wanted for our sister Assata, God dang, tongue tied right now. That's what they wanted for Assata. They wanted the Fred Hampton treatment. They wanted to do her like Martin Luther King. They wanted to do her like Malcolm X. They wanted to do her dirty. And they wanted us to go along with it. Damn that badge. And damn the FBI. And damn Cash Patel. We have been the biggest targets, the number one target of these people for the longest. There's never been another target. So fixing your mouth to tell us what's disrespectful as a goddamn tether here in this country? Oh, you can take that shit to the goddamn laundromat and wash it. Take it back over to your country. There will never be a day that we forget what this country has done and continue to do to our people. There will never be a day that we don't call out the imperialism, the racism, the pure anti-black hate that this country has shown to us and continues to till this very day. So for all you people out there that think that you can flee from your country and come to a country that Assata made better, well, I have one thing to say to all of you.
Fuck him, goddammit, and fuck anybody with his ass. Yeah.
This is another reason why we are not picking up no cape for nobody. This is another reason why we are minding our own FBA business. This is another reason why all of you folks that are getting the hell and catching the hell that you are catching at this time is well deserved. We're not worried about you. We're doing our own thing, walking around singing this song. Whatsoever. We are not allowing any disrespect just because you want to get some views, just because you want to deflect from the fact that the FBI is being held accountable for not releasing any of the Epstein files. I have them on my desk. No disrespect will be tolerated of our ancestors, especially by you lying, scheming, conniving tethers. You can throw your tether titcher tantrum somewhere else. Tipper tantrum, excuse me. It just won't be here. Family, these folks, they're about to feel the power of the ancestors. They have already been feeling the power. The ABK has been happening left and right. But now we got Assata Shakur watching our back and having our back too. Oh, that's something that you should be afraid of. With that being said, family, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description, go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, in the words of my sister, Aquarius Minded, they ain't seen nothing yet. We're just getting started. I want to give a B1 salute to everybody who has donated, whether by Cash App, by Super Chat, by Super Sticker, whatever, Venmo, whatever. Much love to each and every one of you, and your contributions is blessed tenfold. Once again, I want to thank all my mods, my members, and everybody in the chat, and everybody who isn't in the chat, and everybody who's going to catch this on the playback. It is our job not just to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, but to make sure people put some respect on their names, especially some rat chasing tether. With that being said, family and friends, much love to each and every one of you. The doors of the church are now closed. Peace, family.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever can't stand us black people, he doing everything in the world to make black man be extinct. But I'm going to tell you one thing, us black people going to survive. Yeah. So fuck everybody. I'm out.